This is not my day today. Not because of how the fact that we are about to be going on to this next world, as you can see right there, but we'll talk more on that later. Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Tiana here, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more of Let's Play of Kirby's Return to Dreamland, aka in UK, Kirby's Adventure Wii for the Nintendo Wii. So last time we have managed to gone through World 4, which is White Waffles, the snowy themed world, and today we're about to begin for this episode today, and that was the fact that we're going to be hit on to the 5th world, which is Nutty Noon. And if I recall correctly, that you know with that beginning letters in each world, since after all in the first world we've got is a C, and the second world we have is the R, and the third world we have an O, and then World 4 we've got a W, and now we've got the N. You know what that code's name was? Crown. Which, we'll point it out whenever we're able to continue exploring the rest of this though, but for now, let's jump right into the forms of the 5th world, which is Nutty Noon, and right off the bat though, we're actually going to be going on to the actual skies. So, yeah, chances are though, there's not much else I can usually talk about this world basically, until when we get to Stage 2, Stage 3, 4, and probably 5 later on, that we can able to discover about the fact that we might actually climb onto the forms of the actual tower itself. And also, yeah, I think that's as far as I can say about it. So, man, I really like the music actually. Probably the coolest theme we can able to actually just compromise with. So, yeah, let's get to the forms of today's topic for this point while this has been going on. And that was the fact that today's day is obviously the 16th of January in 2020. So recently, that the Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct has been up during today. And, well, after all that, I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed. Well, it's nothing horrible or anything, it's just that, well, it doesn't feel as much hyped compared to the forms of how it does in what we had previously, like the Joker, the Hero, and Terry Bogard, as well as from Banjo and Kazooie most likely, but we'll explain more on that later though. But for now, let's hit in here because of the first energy sphere that we can get. So, yeah, it's not that tricky or difficult or anything like that, so yeah, chances are, yeah, everything else is self-explanatory for the most part though. So yeah, let's get to the actual main topic of this specific Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct that has been happening during the forms of just recently today. And the chances are that the reason why I already explained this before, I'm actually very disappointed. Well, again, it's nothing awful or anything, it's just that, well, let's get to the positives out of the way first, and that was the fact that, well, by the end of that particular direct just happened right now, we're actually going to be still getting ourselves 6 chances left when it comes to the forms of some more DLC fighters. So because of this, after all, we did pretty much wrap things up with Fighters Pass 1 now, which I believe that's all said and done. And because chances are that we still might as well able to come across into another set of chances for able to actually get ourselves even more fighters along the way, up until when we get to 2021, specifically the end of 2021, which is insane if you ask me, but I really can't guarantee that we could able to potentially try to do our Let's Play of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate anytime soon, but hopefully we'll able to actually come across into that at some point soon. But not now though, because we still got Smash Bros. For Wii U to focus on, which, oh boy, I seem to semi-remember that, but even then, we'll save that for a later day. But for now, we're playing Kirby right now, so everything else will be self-explanatory as it is. But anyways, let's get into the actual main point of why I'm not actually not a big fan of the Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct just recently today. Now, when it comes to everything else though, we got ourselves a new character at least, but it's not just the third-party support character this time around, because no, instead we have another Fire Emblem character in this entire thing. Another Fire Emblem character we've got, which is how many exactly we got right now? We got about 8. we got 8 of those things. I understand because of how the fact that they're trying to make it like, Sakurai was trying to tell us or something, saying like, maybe we should probably add, at least one more Fire Emblem character to make it an equal of 8 or something like that. I'm not trying to be offensive or anything like that, it's just that, well, it's just come out of nowhere, which as a result of that kinds of stuff though, I just have no idea how it's actually turned out to be, which I'm trying to be as much more positive as I can, but it's just that was my biggest grind about the From That Direct actually. But apparently it's actually based off from the most recent Fire Emblem game, which is called Fire Emblem Three Houses on the Nintendo Switch, and as a result the actual character's choice is Bylov, which it's kind of a weird name. But at least there's only a good thing about that character though, is that, well, let's get into that right away, is the fact that there was one good thing about that particular fighter though, and that was the switching weapons mechanic, which, because of how you know, with Fire Emblem Three Houses, managed to have like 3 different kind of houses campaign you might go through. I don't know how I truly explain about this right now, because then again, I'm not actually owned any of the Fire Emblem games basically, because as a result of that kinds of stuff, well, I do know some of them, but it's just that I'm not a massive fan onto it, to be honest with you. But anyway, for Bylov, I think much like the forms of Robin, and especially noticeable with Koron, is the fact that we actually get ourselves once again a male and a female counterparts of themselves, which, what to expect? It's just Fire Emblem choices, isn't it? Better I digress. At least I don't mind, Koron, that he did manage to make his appearance, because obviously we need him for specifically trying to make its appearance after the events of the Sis Trophy for Robin back in Smash 4. But at least I don't mind Koron as it is, but not, well, it's hard to explain. Oh, Chrome. That's what I was going to be thinking of anyway. But I digress. And, as far as I'm aware, though, the actual stage that it's going to take place into for that specific DLC is going to be a stage based off from, well, obviously, Fire Emblem Three Houses, basically. The biggest problem with that stage to me, though, is that I think we've seen kinds of stage like this multiple times ever since in Journey Forms of Skyward Sword, in this case, Skyloft, which, I'm perfectly fine with Skyloft as it is, and especially noticeable with Mario Circuit from, Mario Kart 8, because they actually did something a little bit different compared to the forms of some other stages worth noting for. But for the Fire Emblem Three Houses battle stage or something like that, it just feels way too similar. It feels way too similar in comparison to the forms of how it does in the forms of the previous Smash stages, as far as I'm aware. And also, what's another thing I was going to be on about? Obviously, they added in some more music in the background, which they are heavily influenced by, you know, Fire Emblem Three Houses and stuff like that, for that nature. And also, not to mention, though, is the fact that, well, I think that's as far as I can say. But apart from the fact that we actually get ourselves round 2 of those Mii costumes, which this time around, I'm alright with it, except with the fact that they're going to be bringing us into the promising characters, to be sure, which is of course Cuphead, which is a pretty fantastic game, by the way, but still is pretty tough as heck, as to be expected. But either way though, I was expecting if Cuphead will make its appearance as a DLC fighter, but nope, we got ourselves a Mii costume instead, so I was like, really? Okay, okay then, so I guess I'll be fine with this as long as, well, at least the good thing about that is the fact that once again, much like the Sans from Undertale, and that was the fact that he's actually a gunner, just like the forms of the Sans from Undertale. Because, you know, pretty obvious because of how the fact that Cuphead managed to have the ability to shoot out some pistols with his fingers and stuff like that, which can be same applies for Mugman, if you like to be more precise with that specific matter. And I think that's about it. And also they bring us the Rabbit's costume, which is pretty cool though, but then again, I just wish there was going to be a fighter or something like that, but nope, it's just costumes instead. And, that's it. That's all I can really talk about this for the most part, though. At least, you know, until later down the road, there's gonna be some more DLC fighters along the way, which I'm sure enough there'll be still more. I would say we still got 6 extra chances left until the actual thing itself is completed, which still we got enough time for it, especially noticeable for this year's E3 coming up in E3 2020, which by this point in time it will be at some point in June once again, but this time around it's going to be slightly early than that compared to the forms of how it does it on the previous years this time around. So at least I just wanted to let you guys know about that. So but I digress. So that was just it. That's all I could really talk about for the actual Nintendo Direct, Smash Bros. Direct, potentially for today. Now, the big problem with this is the fact that it's not only, I guess, the character itself for the Fire Emblem Three Houses. I don't mind as a character, but it's the existence of this. Why did the actual thing wants to continue supporting the Fire Emblem characters? Like, I already mentioned this before already, but I'm gonna say it again. We've got about at least 8 of them. Like, 8 Fire Emblem characters. What's wrong with picking Sora or Goku, or especially noticeable with most of the characters on the third-party support? Because that reminds me that, do you remember with the forms of that specific Smash name on here, specifically that has like, you know, SMASH, which stands for Smash? At least it could potentially try to make it as a good hint about the actual specific code on that third-party supportive companies out there. Like, we got representing the Microsoft, which usually we get ourselves Banjo and Kazooie for that specific part. And then S, or double S's, well, one of them is SNK because of Terry Bogard, and also another S for Square Enix and stuff like that, due to Hero from Dragon Quest, and finally A for Athletes for Persona 5 and stuff like that, because of, you know, Joker's makes their playable debut ever since the Game of the Year Awards in 2018. But we haven't got one for H. Like, none of them at all from H, specifically. So yeah, as a result of that kind of stuff, at least we got ourselves the Nintendo character on that specific pass. But I'm sorry, it's just I have to say, this is easily the weakest things for that specific stuff for me. Like, don't get me wrong, it isn't terrible or anything. It's just that, well, I'm just disappointed. Which either way, hopefully there might be still better things throughout the future. Which sure enough that will be the case. Let's get to the final thing with that specific DLC has been happening, and that has a release date, which is going to be at some point in this month, potentially in the 28th of July, or January I should say, and that'll be about it. So hopefully though, by the time later on in 2020, and especially noticeable for next year especially as well in 2021, I hope we can get something a little bit more better. But it all really depending on the forms of how the fact that, well, let's just say this right now, I'm sorry, this is a little bit, I hate to say it, because even then, I usually hate ranting. Like, I hate ranting. Like, either way, maybe next time, don't bring that much Fire Emblem characters next time, because I think that's enough as it is. Because, well, usually in Smash 4, I think it's perfectly fine in terms of that specific amount. Like, I think we got about 6 of them, which I think it's okay enough as it is. But now we got, well, at least I don't mind, you know, Koron, or Chrome, as far as I like to say. That because of how the fact that he is related to, you know, Lucina's brother. Which I don't mind at all, because it's actually based off from that story from the likes of Fire Emblem Awakening for the 3DS and stuff. But I'm just saying, try not to be overly too much upon Fire Emblem next time. And I suppose another thing I'd like to say for that specific presentation is that we almost seem to got a similar situation as the forms of how it does it in My Little Pony Pony Life on that specific trailer was being announced, that we actually got ourselves very good amount of likes, but almost the majority are dislikes, which I think that pretty much goes the same applies for the first ever official trailer for, you know, in April last year, that we got ourselves the first trailer for Sonic movie, and most people seem to really despise that because of the forms of that specific, design of Sonic, which thankfully is being fixed during the forms of a November 2019 trailer, which I do appreciate. And I really can't wait to looking forward to able to see that film and stuff at some point whenever that film comes out. Not in day one though, sadly, but either way though, that's it. That's just pretty much about it. So either way, let's just hope that next time around we can get ourselves a proper Nintendo Direct next time, or even better yet, how about if we're able to choose something else instead of the Fire Emblem characters, thank you. Well, no offense, but it's just that it's just too much of Fire Emblem at this point. Well, usually I don't hate the actual series, it's just I'm just not a big fan of it. Well, at least I do enjoy some of these playable characters, like using in Smash Bros. And stuff, but aside from that, no more. No more Fire Emblem plays. Because for the love of God, that's just too much. We got 8 fighters of Fire Emblem series so far, which I think fundamentally speaking is the fact that at the moment right now, we got about 23k likes and 18k dislikes, so it's almost like a 50-50 when it comes to the actual video ratio. I think the ones they on about is the American version, because I don't know in the UK version for sure, but at least I'll find out until later on throughout the forms of that specific matter. But hopefully though, until tomorrow when Piglet and Daffy were able to go back onto Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games Let's Play until tomorrow, then they'll able to talk something a little bit more positive than ever, so... But yeah, that's as far as I can say. So either way though, I do apologize if that specific ranting, I just point things out, but it's just that... please, try not to able to be too hasty on this. Like, I'm just really hoping if Sora will be on the actual Smash community, or better yet, why couldn't Crash Bandicoot will be on there too? Like, after all, we've got my favorite franchises ever, which are Mario, Sonic, Mega Man, Pac-Man, and Banjo and Kazooie onto that specific roster so far. So, why can't you just add Sora into the game? Or better yet, why can't you just add, you know, just... I'm sorry, it's just, I'm just not in the right mood for this point. But hopefully by that time until later on, hopefully potentially this month, although, yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves, because we'll just try to discuss on that positive note out of the way, so, because I just don't know if I can say this anymore. So, anyway, so let's move on to level 3 right now, and as a result, you know that little particular key holder enemy? We do need to able to be rushed on this, because otherwise, if you don't make it in time, well, basically, you probably won't guarantee to get the key after all. So I think, the only time you can able to do it multiple times is that you can either lose a life or something like that, so... yeah, I guess that's totally obvious for that point right there, so... and also during the forms of, another thing I'd like to mention about that specific, the DLC, by the way, it's just that, well, usually, relatively speaking, I've seen a lot of reactions on the forms of Twitter recently, from my own time, potentially. Holy macaroni, they got a lot of negative comments, which either way, I can understand because of how the fact that I just wish if we had something new, which, as a result of that kinds of stuff, which that's probably true for that regard. But, anyways, let's not talk about it right now, because I know I'm gonna get a lot of negative feedback or anything like that, but it's just that, it just really just... anyway, so let's go ahead and bypass those little dangerous munchy enemies, and then just pull down the lever, and get the actual energy sphere from here. And in order to actually just to do that, is that you need to use the beam that you can able to actually get the energy sphere from here. I'm pretty sure for the most part though, is the fact that we're pretty much almost done with this particular world as it is. But then again though, at this point in time, is the fact that the majority of the worlds every now and then is going to get much longer than the forms of how it does it from before. So, I think there's going to be one of those chances about the fact that eventually until later on, oh yeah, we need to get ourselves the high jump ability, which at the moment I keep on getting hit by them. And let's just go ahead and just do a nice little launch jump up ahead. And hopefully we'll able to come across into a third energy sphere. So I think some people seem to say that this energy sphere in particular might be pretty tricky to obtain, because you have to do like, well, you know this switch right there? Jump, and then go down, and boom, there we go. So yeah, definitely a little bit trickier than before, or in this case, the previous two energy spheres as we've gone through, just because of how the fact they need to get a lot of timing presses or what have you. So, but either way though, that's just how it goes basically with that specific requirements. So, and as you can tell right now, during level 2, as we've already done, after talking a lot of ranting stuff, and as you can tell by this point, we're actually going to be climbing onto that specific tower, which either way, there could be something related to later on though, but then again, though, we'll find out for ourselves later on. So anyways, from now on, let's just go ahead and try to use the high jump ability if we can, and just launch ourselves into the cannon automatically. And we can show it to you, we're able to go above the clouds. Now, there's going to be a very well hidden you know, energy sphere just beyond in that clouds right there. So just in case you weren't able to actually just won't miss track on that specific stuff. But yeah, I think that's how this level ends though. So, and I suppose the final thing I'd like to talk about for that specific DLC, by the way, although I wasn't too mad or anything, it's just that I just want to point things out about the fact that why most other people seem to complain about we got another Fire Emblem fighter, but this time around based off from the new game in the series, which is, you know, Three Houses, which kind of does the same similar thing for where usually that Corwin managed to make its appearance in Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and the Wii U from before, because of the celebration of Fire Emblem Fates and all that stuff. So, yeah, you probably get the idea, and that's what I get for discussing that. Which, yes, unfortunately, we actually come across into this boot again, but thankfully though, it's not the first boot, I just realized, because until you come across into the second boot, it's always the second boot every time you come across into these segments here. Because, for the most part, it's just the goodies themselves aren't that worth anything to me though, but the ones we have to aim for is, of course, the actual energy sphere itself, so yeah, I guess there's no point for able to check on here. Unless if you play multiplayer with King DDD and all that, then you would able to actually see what's in there. So, anyways, let's do a very, very tricky section here. And that's okay though, because we got an extra life back. So yeah, that's how it goes basically. Because I know that most people out there seem to get so upsetting for this point today. Especially noticeable how the fact that we were expecting to see you know, Devil May Cry character on here, but of course it wasn't because, I don't know, it just feels a little bit too secrecy when it comes to, like, the actual hints sometimes. Especially noticeable how the fact that Devil May Cry 3 on Nintendo Switch wasn't going to be that far off when it comes to the actual release of it, so. But I digress, so let's go ahead and continue things on. Now, I believe the second energy sphere is actually not too difficult, it's just those little two cannons right there. And then I believe the final two is going to be at somewhat later on throughout the level, which fundamentally though will activate that lever. And just go enter that door over there. And for right now, we're actually going all the way above to the actual tower. So yeah, there's not much else to comment on here, so I do apologize for the actual awkward commentary for this point, guys, because of how the fact that, wow, I just keep on belching most of the time. Oh yeah, I suppose another thing I'd like to discuss upon for the majority of this Let's Play, from now on, I'm just gonna call it Let's Play of Kirby's Return to Dreamland, because it makes a little bit sense for YouTube standpoint, whilst compared to the Power Region version, they just simply calls it Kirby's Adventure Wii, despite the fact that we got some sort of a similar name as the new forms in the NES game. But ultimately though, we're just gonna call it Kirby's Return to Dreamland, because you know how YouTube channels or YouTube gaming categories always seem to mention Kirby's Return to Dreamland as opposed to Kirby's Adventure Wii, basically. So, for now on, I'm just gonna call it that. And look at that on that boss's health gauge! 1 hit point left! That's unbelievable. And especially noticeable I wasn't paying attention to right there. I mean, jeez, that was stingy right there. Okay then, so let's just go ahead and get ourselves the Grand Hammer, just in case, so that we could able to smash all sorts of stuff. But yeah, that's all I can say about this point today. Luckily though, until tomorrow, that Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, the game, the RPG game I should say, will eventually get released on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I'm not exactly sure about the Switch version though, but then again, it's all really depending on the forms of the releases by releases or something like that. But either way though, as far as in the 2020, as far as I'm aware, at least some people seem to be super excited about DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield for during in 2020, which they don't mind it at all, but even then it's not my kind of thing, I have to be honest with this for this point right there, which I think I've already on about this ever since in World 2 video, or I think it was actually World 3, if I could assume incorrectly, that last time I mentioned anything about that. Yeah, I think sounds about right. So anyways, let's go ahead and deal with those giant jack-in-a-box kind of objects so that we can smash those up. And then, I think in order to actually access to the another dimension portal is that we need to hammer quite a few amounts of those little stomps, as you can see right there. And then if we go all the way up to the top of that specific elevator, and then hopefully we would able to come across into this largest spring out of them all. And then what can we do with it? Well, just simply just use the Grand Hammer with it, and once it's done so already, we're able to fling all the way up into the topest, the tallest tower, and then if we come across into this bell, well, basically it'll get smashed, and basically the portal dimension appears. So yeah, it's all convenient, that is. So either way though, let's just go inside, and eventually it gets a little bit more tricky at this point, because you know when we've already done one of them already, in level 5-2 already, that we always have to utilize the projectile to activate the bomb blocks. But now, here we go on to the shifting platforms, because I say that because, well, there's going to be a lot of moving platforms every once in a while. Couldn't imagine of how the fact that in the second playthrough, which I'm probably not going to do, because it's more likely, well, I'll talk more on that later, after the actual main, the main game itself will be over, but usually, relatively speaking, it's going to be super top secret, so, at least not until whenever we, oh, I don't know, just... Anyway, so, you can also just manage to able to fly and just, well, just trying to able to skip the majority of this, because, I'm very glad this is all likely going back into its classic roots, because unlike, Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, the only Kirby game to be able to feature that similar, way, as you normally, can't fly, above, or just, in this case, well, it's hard to explain about this sometimes, because I will admit, though, right away, that I really do apologize for this, for the sake of this uploading schedule for that point. Well, usually it's still going back on to 5 o'clock, roughly, for that time, but it's just that I'm just not very happy with that specific direct for this point today. Hopefully it gets a bit better in the future, though, especially noticeable on E3 2020 and beyond, so... But at least on the positive notes, next week, that Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC Reminds will be on its way next week, which I'm super excited about, especially noticeable how the fact that I might actually just to do some more stuff on that game. So at least that's the only positive thing about the actual month so far for this year, which, you know, I'm still really hyped about it, especially after waiting for about a whole year since I can able to actually do some more stuff in Kingdom Hearts 3, apart from trying to upgrade my ultimate weapon still, and also just keep on leveling up to 99 at minimum on my own time. Although I'm probably not going to explain the whole entire story already, just because, well, it seems it's more likely spoiled heavy, but then again, I'm not going to mention about more on that, so... But anyways, let's go ahead and get some more stars. Hopefully we can get more extra lives along the way. And I think we should probably show off a little bit more on Fighter, because we have not seen Fighter for quite a long while. And let's go ahead and can we get something? Still got the 2! Jeez, what is up with me getting a lot of 2s in this entire Let's Play? I mean, can we just get at least 1 once? Nah, whatever. Anyways, I think we might actually access to stage 5. And to top it off, we can now access to the final copy ability room, which is copy ability room number 4. So for stage 5, as you can see right there, I think this is going to be one of those enemy mini-boss endurance run, because the reason why I'm saying that, because right off the bat, we got ourselves the Kirby abilities rooms, basically. So I think we should probably go for Bomb to start off with, because as you can tell, as soon as we jump right into this room, we can able to fight against with those mini-boss fights once again. And I think it's kind of like the exact same system as you remember from, I would say, in Kirby Dream Land 2, and especially noticeable with Kirby Dream Land 3, that you have to get yourselves those Kirby abilities that, as you can tell, to get energy spheres on this stage is the fact that it depends on what mini fights you're going to be able to fight against. After when you kill them, you have to obtain those Kirby abilities depending on the forms of specific rooms they actually put us to, such as the one we've already got, which only requires a sword to able to cut through the rope, and the next ability, which it will be, I would say, a stone ability, as you can see on screen, that I think we might actually come across into the second energy sphere if we're able to do so already. So yeah, it really doesn't matter of what abilities you might go for, but for energy spheres on the other hand though, you have to acquire at least one of those Kirby abilities in order to actually just obtain them. So it's not that difficult or anything like that. It's not that challenging at all, unless if you already fight against with those boss fights from before. So yeah, relatively speaking, it's not too difficult. So anyways, let's go ahead and use the stone to smash these little steel blocks, as you can see. And, well, we were able to move on to this next one. But anyhow, that's why I can really talk about this at this point. Until whenever when, hopefully though, when Sonic, Duffy and Piglet were able to mention more about the good things during the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games tomorrow, and especially noticeable for Mickey Mouse were able to mention more stuff on Mario Kart related news during the forms of his Let's Play of Super Mario Kart, basically. So until more likely in this particular weekend and stuff like that. So for that specific wager, I suppose. But I digress, so let's go ahead and deal with this little water mini boss, and we can move on to this next room. And this is why we need water, just because, you know, the third energy sphere that we can able to obtain. I'm pretty sure at this point in time is the fact that we got ourselves about 80 of those energy spheres, so I think this might be the only world to able just only feature 4 energy spheres in each and every single stage. But it's all likely until at the very end of the game though, that we most likely come across into some more energy spheres later down the road. So now the last mini fight, as you can see right there, is actually by the forms of Dubila, which I think his ability he's got is Spark. So yeah, we definitely need to obtain that, just in case for the sake of clarity, and let's go and use... Oh, really? Did not even expect that. I just missed out like an idiot. Come on, hopefully we could able to deal with him, and boom. And we definitely need to get Spark out of the way, so just in case we can able to obtain the last energy sphere for our World 5. So yeah, it's not too tricky, and it's actually very simple. And then once you're done with all that, then basically you'll get kicked out of the actual tower, and then basically we get ourselves a maximum tomato at the end. Just in case if you keep on getting hit most of the time during the forms of most of the other mini fights, as far as... Yes! I finally got ourselves a 1 ever since in the very first world in the game. God, about time. And I deserve that extra 1 up, thank you. Okay, so at least we got that. And now we're gonna hit on to the next boss, which appears to be on, once again, stage 6. So I wonder what could it be. God knows, we're able to find out until now anyway. So either way, let's climb all the way up to the top and take on the next boss. So I think that's how it goes, basically. As far as Kirby abilities goes, I think I should stuck with Spark as it is, but I don't know exactly for sure, if only depending on the forms of the enemy patterns and stuff. But I digress, let's go ahead and launch ourselves above from outer space and stuff, and how come that victory theme anime, the victory theme is actually playing? Oh gee, I wonder. Oh, okay, so we can able to instantly obtain this particular part, and yay, we save it. Oh, wait a minute. There's gonna be another boss, isn't there? Which I assume that I can notice by this point. Oh my god, he's massive! This, ladies and gentlemen, this appears to be by the forms of Grand Duma, a much more advanced version of Sphere Duma, which the only difference is between the two is that this particular boss has its different name. Well, it still is kind of like a Duma type, but it's actually more granted than before. So naturally speaking, that to deal with this particular boss is that obviously we need to still attack him. So I guess you could potentially try and use Spark to able to get some advantages if you're standing on the corner while he was standing on the exact same place as you were. But either way though, that's as far as usually how this will go. But that I digress. So anyway, so let's go ahead and be careful trying not to get attacked by Grand Duma here. So just in case we could able to actually just although it does do a little bit of damage here, but I don't think that particular damage wasn't that effective to me though. But either way though, oh sweet, I can able to actually reflect that specific projectile. That's pretty cool. So yeah, you just have to be very careful with his attacks basically. So yeah, that's all I can really say about it. But again, the best strategy with Spark, as you can see, is the fact that you have to like tap left and right alternatively multiple times until you build up some sparks. And then that way you would able to actually build up with your nice little projectile attack. So unless if you stand, yeah, just right there, then you get able to actually get like a good amount of damage. But if you think he was done, well, turns out he's not, because as you can see, we got 4 marks of his health bar representing the forms of the actual star icons. What that means? Well, you know with the actual super abilities that we've already come across into? Well, in order to actually deal the damage on them, well, we need to obtain the Ultra Sword, as you can clearly see right here. And basically, every time he lands, well, it's your chance to able to actually just deal the damage. And, I think you have to do with him like 4 amount of hits, so it doesn't matter if your ultra ability might actually run out, so it really does not even matter. So in this case, there goes hit number 2, and let's go ahead and, yeah, he constantly loves to teleport all over the place most of the time, and we need to aim from, oh jeez, that was close, and that's hit number 3. And we've only got 1 more hit before he's basically done as it goes. And hopefully he would. I think he's going to go. He always goes for a pattern for left or right when he does that. So there goes number 4 hit. But if you think he was done, he only got 1 bit of health left, which means we must deal with him with a finishing final blow. With the Ultra Sword, basically. So, yeah, how satisfying this is. And once that's been done, then we are able to obtain, well, the actual proper final part for Lord Starcutter for real, and then we're able to actually restore his particular Omega Lord's Lord Starcutter for good, which either way, that part right there is actually a must, or a mist rather. So there we go guys, Nutty Noon is being completed. So naturally speaking, we can now able to see, you know, Lord Starcutter to able to be completely restored for good. And hopefully, you're able to actually get it running and flying again. So, it will be a great opportunity that we can able to actually now see another location that Megalore was talking about. But either way though, we'll expect to see after this little cutscene has been finished, as you can clearly tell. And there we go, 100% complete with that specific Lord Starcutter. How nice was that? Especially noticeable, it's so rewarding. Oh yay, yay, yeah, you did it, Kirby. The lore is back in its back in business, as I like to say. The oars, both wings, the emblem, and the must. Yep, that's all of that. The moment that we've all been waiting for, it's here. You're my hero. And a promise is a promise. I owe you a trip to my home, a trip to Herculea. Oh, okay. See how this goes, hey? Herculea exists in another dimension. It's super far away, but the Lord can fly us there in a blink of an eye. pack up some snacks, Kirby. We're off to Hakalaya. And a cutscene. Oh, so looks like that Lord Starcutter has once again got crash landed, except now with a different condition now. Kirby, that dragon, name is Landia. It's lived on this planet for ages. It's always been fast asleep. Recently, however, it awaked and it went on rampage. Oh jeez, didn't like the sound of that. Please Kirby, you must defeat that crazy dragon. I know I've asked you a lot about you, but this is it, I swear. So yeah, this means we come across into ourselves Landora, the dragon of all things, which means that we're not exactly done with the game yet. So, you know, after all, we've actually got ourselves all the ship parts already, but of course there's actually one more thing to deal with, which, either way though, we'll come across into that until in every Tuesdays and Thursdays uploading schedules. But either way though, and as you can see, we're now onto a different land, which appears to be Harkalea, which I do apologize with the pronunciation's name of that specific location, by the way. And look at that, we ended up in World 6, which is Egg Engines. Of course you can able to hop back onto Planet Popstar if you like, by simply press the 1 button. But for me, we're probably not going to do that, because we're just going to have to focus in the main adventure as it is. So, yeah, I guess we'll pretty much get endings off here. So join me on next Tuesday for more of Let's Play of Kirby's Return to Dreamland, aka Kirby's Adventure Wii. Is the fact that we're going to be hit on to World 6, which is known as Egg Engines, which now we have an E letter. So, gee, I wonder who that could be. So anyway, see you guys on Tuesday. Later, fellas. Or next Tuesday.